just for briefly context, that was in 2018. It was the Canadian female formation skydiving record. So we were a group of 14 women. The point is to make different points when you're in those shapes. We set goals every day, and it took us to there. We wanted 9, but we got 8. So a 14-person, 8-point skydive is what that is, and that's the inaugural Canadian record of all women.
So Lana, I want to get straight in and ask you, what are you passionate about in life? Maybe in your career, maybe in life, just generally tell us.
Well, Liz, so many things, and I want to say this to people too, that everybody watching, that passions can change and develop and grow and evolve. In a nutshell, I mean, the passions are learning, being curious, and creating. As long as I'm creating something, whether it's a formation skydive, whether it's a new muffin recipe, whether it's a course for CPAs, whether it's a new book, a story, that's kind of where my heart lies. I read a lot of books and books on craft and writing. And there's a quote that says the desire to write is about the desire to evolve. And I think we as humans, getting a little meta here, but why are we here at all, right? To help each other, to evolve, to grow, to learn, and help others do the same.
Lana, I want to know from you, do you think it's important to know your strengths, and why?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, the wiring, I'm just thinking of the story like that. Like, I know my strengths. I am not an electrician, right? I could come to your house and I could redo some wiring, but it's not going to be good, and it probably will start the house on fire. So that's knowing that as not my strength, knowing what your strengths are and knowing what they aren't are, I think, equally important, because and your strengths, again, this is sort of a deep down thing that we all probably know. And again, as women, we are conditioned to not speak up, not brag, don't, um, say what your strengths are, when we really should be doing that. I know that I have a knack for making people feel comfortable. I've been a producer for a long time. People have told me that repeatedly. I know I'm a good writer. People have told me that repeatedly too. It sounds, even saying this out loud, saying it here, it sounds like I'm bragging, but I have a good sense of humor. Also, people want me to be in groups because it's like, oh, she'll bring some levity to a fairly serious subject. Not to say I'm not professional and get jobs done. That's also the producer in me. Work very well to a deadline. Also a strength, a schedule. I need a program, like like that is something, and I create them to actually get to the end goal.
Now, Lana, I want to hear from you. What are some of the internal obstacles you have faced in your skydiving and also in your writing? Let us
Yeah,
hear these pearls
they
of wisdom.
are remarkably almost identical, and they always stem around your own lack of confidence, lack of trusting the process, thinking you're not good enough, lack of focus, doubt, overthinking things, like um, really analyzing things way too much when it's probably simpler than you think. Fear of failure, popular one. Also, fear of success. What if I'm actually good at this? Then what am I going to do? Right? Like that can be an obstacle too, that sort of freezes you. All of this internal, all of it internal, where there's
Wow.
100% control. It's a story you tell yourself, right? Self-limiting beliefs. It's so true. Like, we just do this, and they are just literally not true most of the time. I'm going to say 99% of the time. Self-limiting beliefs, you're telling yourself. Nobody else is telling you these things. People are telling you other things, more positive things. And I'll say too, on these formations, even in California, I was afraid, terrified to screw up. Well, jump, not we did 17 jumps, I think it was number 12, are I the person who goes low? I did screw it up. Everybody's up there formation, and I'm coming into the formation, and all of a sudden I feel myself sinking out. So there's a lot of things involved in physics and weight, and once you go low and you look up and you see the formation above you, like this one in the picture here, um, you can it's tricky to get back up when it's that much because you're falling at different rates. And you finish the skydive, you flare, you land your parachute, you go, you pack, and then you debrief. And the coach says, "Well, what happened there?" And it's like, yeah, screwed up. Like, try to suck less next time. Don't do that again, right? Like, no. And how do I fix it? I stay above the formation. She said you came in, you were too close, you got there too close, and then you just sunk out. But somebody said to me too while I was there, feeling it feels terrible. I felt less like crying, like throwing up because I screwed it up for the whole group. And somebody said, you know what? There are those that have and those that will fail. So it's inevitable. So it's part of life. You have to deal with it, right? Things are going to happen. I'll just say
Lana,
this
there's
is
a yeah.
one of my textbooks for life when things fall apart, because things will fall
Agreed.
apart.
And that really, there was a question, what book do you recommend that changed your life? So I think you've got that. You've nailed it out. So
Oh,
that's great.
so so
Maybe another,
that one,
yeah,
yeah, that one has a
yes.
bunch of things in here. This is the 90-day novel or 90-day rewrite. There's one called the 90-day novel if anybody wants to write a book. This is another big one. Liz Gilbert on really creative living beyond fear. Really great. You don't have to be an artist to read. This is like everyday living. And then this is a book about skydiving. This is the actually one of the organizers um, that was at the California place. He has an incredible story, a TED talk that's all about overcoming fear. Again, this guy, thousands of skydives, probably 15,000 skydives, and still has to manage his anxiety. He's like, those last 10, 20 seconds before we exit, I'm just telling myself, calm down, calm down. Like, um, after all that time, it's still, yeah, it's not a normal thing to do, right? So I have these kind of balls next to me. These aren't my
Perfect.
juggling balls, but they're stress balls, right? With motivational sayings on them. Whatever it takes, no judgment on what you need to do
Absolutely.
to coach yourself.
The next question is for Lana. And what advice, Lana, would you give your younger self?
Great question. Lots of advice. Now, hindsight is 2020, isn't it? So, I want to I would say, I've been hearing this. I was just on a 2-day conference. Biggest thing is be your authentic self. I think in my past, I spent time trying to be maybe somebody who other people thought I should be and sort of going against my natural instinct sometimes for whatever reason, societal pressures or whatever it might have been. But I think that is really good advice to just trust yourself. It's not easy because you might meet with resistance, but I think it's really important to it's only going to serve you in the long run to be who you are, be yourself. I wrote down what Celia said earlier today too. Speak up when you're expected to be silent. Fantastic advice. That's I can use that today. And also to my younger self, you don't have to have all the answers. That's to everybody here today too. I still don't have the answers. I'm still figuring it out. Next week could look different. Just new discoveries, new passions, new ways of learning, new things I want to learn. I'm actually literally taking up juggling, and I find it meditative. My brain goes out overactive, but it's a fun activity to have. But yeah, short answer, long-winded answer. Be your authentic self. Ask questions. Also, don't be afraid. I just love that what Celia said. And don't compromise. I wrote that down too. Don't compromise. That kind of is
Oh,
in tandem with being your authentic self.